So, what do you understand by poverty? When you say that's poverty, then what do we understand? Economically. In case of measurement of poverty, we have two issues to be discussed. The first issue is, as you are saying, those who are economically backward or sort of thing, that suggests you are identifying whether X, Y, Z, they are poor or not. So the first issue of poverty is what we call is the identification of poor. The identification of poor. So whether X, Y, Z or any other individual, whether individual I is poor or not. That is the first part of poverty. As is pointed out, one way of looking at it is the economic. Income, you can think of as income. Someone is below a threshold level of income, we can identify that person as poor. The second, because we are measuring poverty not for individuals, we are measuring poverty for the economy as a whole or a country as a whole. Then you need to add those four. Say this individual I is poor, then another individual J is poor. Then you need to add this I plus J so that you get your total poor in the economy. That comes to the second problem of your measurement of poor, that is how we aggregate them. So there are two issues to be discussed when we are measuring poverty. The first issue is identification of the poor. Who is poor? X, Y, Z is poor or not? Then once we identify which set of people are poor, how we are going to combine them together so that we will reach a single aggregate number, and we can compare it with rest of the world or any other economy as such. So when we are discussing identification of poor, as is rightly pointed out, we can choose income as an indicator to decide whether that individual is poor or not. Then the question arises, what should be the amount of that income level? Say whether it is 500, 400 or 1000 or 10,000, what should be that benchmarking level of poor? As you are pointing out, to distinguish between individuals whether he or she is poor or not based on his income criteria, then we need to choose the income level. That is what we call the benchmarking level of income. In measurement of poverty, what we call it as a poverty line. Okay? So that benchmarking level of income, we call it as a poverty line. So how will we choose that poverty? There are various theoretical understanding to decide what should be the level of our income. Usually in practice and in India, our benchmarking or the
poverty line is based on what we call is nutritional it is anchored to the nutritional requirement of individual.
So in nutrition is what you can say wider concept, but precisely we take the calorie benchmark or calorie requirement of individuals, and based on that calorie benchmarking, then we will decide the poverty line. So you have calories. We can calculate the calorie. Let's say I am eating rice, wheat, chicken, mutton, paneer, and so forth, oil and milk. Then each food item has some calorie content. The calorie content of each food item is provided by the medical experts or biologists or the bourgeois discipline. Let's say this rice content, 100 gram of rice content, let's say X amount of calorie, and say Z amount of protein and so on. Similarly, for each food items, we have what we call is the different calorie content. If I am consuming say 100 grams of rice, then we can know how much rice I am consuming. So we can calculate what we call is the calorie consumption of individual I, which I am denoting as CI. CI is the calorie consumed by individual I is nothing but sum of J is equal to 1 to K, where J is the food item, K is number of food item I am consuming, that is rice, potato, chicken, mutton, fish, paneer or so forth. Okay, so there are number of food items, that is K. Rj into Qij. So what is this Rj? This Rj is, you can think of as the calorie content of food item J. Like for rice, how much it's pouring with calorie content. Got it? And Qij is the quantity of the food item J and as the individual I consume. So we can calculate these CI. But in case of India and mostly for most of the countries in the world, we do not have what we call as the individual level food consumption. What we have is the food consumption at the household level, not the family level. In a family, how much quantity of different food items you are consuming. This information is not whether you belong to the family, whether you consume this much, and your parents, your brother, your sister consume this much, that information will be there. So usually this CI, that is calorie intake of IF individual person, this may be, we can represent by what we call is the households. So CX is the calorie intake or calorie consumption by household H, and UXJ is the quantity of food item J consumed by the household X. Now we can calculate the per capita calorie, say per capita calorie consumption of household X, that is your CH upon household size.
CH upon household size. Okay. So we can calculate what we are calling as the per capita calorie intake of household H as your CH upon the household size. At the same time, we have the information of household income or capita household income. Okay, so you have per capita calorie intake and you have per capita income. These two informations are there. Now, if we can identify what is the requirement for your calories, accordingly we can calculate the poverty line or income level that satisfy your calorie benchmark. So how do we do that? This benchmarking level of calorie is provided by your medical expert, like earlier in 1979 when the first poverty estimations for India was done by Alok Sharma committee or so, Alok Sharma committee and their members. That time the benchmarking level of calorie for rural households was 2400 kilocalorie per day per person. Similarly, for urban area, it was 2100 kilocalorie per person per day. So we know from the medical expert what are the requirements for your calorie intake, so that you can sustain or you can have a living, not living conditions, so only you can have a life, active life, so where you can do your physical labor and all those things. The difference between these two, that's rural and urban benchmarking, because still the efforts, the physical labor burden in rural area, it is higher because the rural populations used to work harder. The physical labor involved is much more intense than the physical labor required in case of urban centers. That is why the difference in the calorie intake. This also take into account the gender-wise calorie requirement. Gender as well as the age group. So if you have age group, so younger kids require less amount of your calories, when adults require more calories. That is also taken into account, and this is weighted by their populations. So this 2400 they got on rural area, like you have said, in rural area you have adult requirement is, let's say, 300 kilocalorie, but the child requirement is 1800, and that 3000 plus 1800, it's not arithmetic. It is weighted by their respective populations. So once we have this calorie benchmarking, now there are two ways we can reach at our poverty lines. One is using the simple regression. Say now we can plot say like I can take here income and here I can take my calories of household heads, the per capita calorie of household heads as well as per capita income of household heads you can take, and then we can have the scatter plot sort of thing, like, and we can find this linear regression line. So this is nothing but your, let's say, represent your alpha hat plus, let's say, beta hat. So your PCH is hat is equal to PIH hat sort of thing. So the interest is to get our alpha hat as well as our beta hat. And with the probably those who have learned basic statistics, you know this, what they call is a minimum error sum of square. This the process that follow is ordinary least square, where what you are trying to do is minimize the error sum of square. What is the error here? Like here in this case, here this is the error. So this is for household 1, so this is U1. This is for household 2, so this is U2. This is U3. This is U4, sort of thing. So this is the error. So what you are trying to do is sum of UX square. So you are minimizing UX square, and that gives you the estimated line, that is alpha hat plus beta hat plus, let's say your alpha hat is, you have the observed data so that you can run the regression and you can see, and here you can, let's say your alpha hat is 1500 and your beta hat is say 0.8 sort of thing. Then you can so you have PCH is equal to 1500 plus 0.8 per capita income of the household. This is the equation for the line where the slope is 0.8. Is it so? From this, we know that when the per capita calorie intake is 2400, this is, let's say, for rural area. So we know that when it is 2400, the corresponding income level can be considered as your poverty line. So from this equation, you know if your value of PCH is 2400, you can calculate easily the PIH. So that is, you can see here. So this gives you what you call is the poverty line. Poverty line. This is what you can do in case of using regression. That is ordinary least square method they call it. Those who are interested, you can read basic econometrics. We will follow it. But what happens is, in this method, your UI should follow there are 10 assumptions on UL. One of the critical assumption of that UX we are talking about. So the error term, that the error term should follow a normal distribution So we say this US should follow a normal distribution with mean 0 and a constant variance sigma square. Usually the calorie intake does not follow a normal distribution. And this assumption usually violated in this case. So applying this OLS method may not provide you what you can say this correct estimation of your poverty line, because the way you have estimated the underlying assumptions are violated. Therefore, this does not lead to what we call the correct estimation of your poverty. So what we do in case of India is we must decide what we call as a poverty decile group. Poverty decile group, and based on that poverty decile group, in this case when you are doing this, you are not taking into account the non-food expenditure. This is only the food expenditure or food content. But the non-food expenditures such as education, health center, they are also critical for human survival. So you need to incorporate these non-food expenditures in your poverty line. The way we have done it, this does not capture your non-food component. Non-food component. Therefore, what we do is we can plot our per capita calorie intake of households like this, like a normal distribution sort of thing, assuming you, or you can have a kernel density function of this. And once you have this, this is the distribution of your per capita calorie intake. Now this distribution is divided into 10 equal parts, that is deciles. So you have your decile, let's say this is your decile 1, this is your decile 2, this is your decile 3, this is your decile 4, this is your decile 5, 6, 7, and this is your decile 10. So we can distribute, so we can divide the whole distribution to 10 equal deciles. From each decile, we can calculate that mean calorie intake. Are you getting my point? Let's say there are 1000 households only. So what we are doing is we are dividing this 1000 households into 100 households based on their calorie intake. So for the first 10 household, 100 households, they constitute our the first decile group. The next 100, they constitute our second decile group, and so forth up to the 1000 households. So for the first 100 households, we can calculate their average calorie intake, because for all the 100 households, we have the information of calories. So we can easily calculate their. Are you getting my point? Yes. So you can calculate their average calorie. Let's say for this, I'm writing and the PCD1 bar. PCD1 bar is the average calorie intake of the decile group 1. Similarly, we have PCD2 bar. This is your PCD3 bar, so forth. And let's say this is your PCD4 bar. So what is PCD4 bar implies? PCD4 bar implies the mean calorie intake of the decile group 100 households. That is from 300 to 400 households. Those households mean calorie intake. Are you with me? Okay. Let's say we get this PCD4 bar, and this is for rural area. The same is applied to the urban area. Okay. So let's say this PCD4 bar is equal to 2405. We get this. So this is the closest to our benchmarking calorie norms. The PCD4 bar is equal to or close to our. If it is equal, you are working. Usually you don't get. So the closest, which is to your benchmarking calorie intake, that we consider. So now, what we do is we consider these 100 people as our representative pool. So in this red shaded area, we have 100 people. In this example, we are taking 1000 households. So these 100 people living in this decile group 4, they are representative pool. Okay, so this decile group is called as poverty decile group, because these 100 households are representative of our poor, because their average consumption of calories is close to our benchmarking level of calories. Is it right? So they are our representative. So we have for these 100 households, we have their income or their expenditure on food. How much? So this is the calorie they are consuming, and how much they are spending on food we have. So we can get the what we call is the mean food expenditure of these decile group 4, D4. Also we can get the mean non-food expenditure like health, education, or any other shelter and so forth. So we can take those mean. Similarly, we have say mean non-food expenditure of this D4. So this provides us the poverty line. This provides us the poverty line. But there is one catch. In the non-food expenditure, mostly we have health and education expenditure is key component for our human survival. Because when we are talking about poor, we are thinking that they are in a hardship of survival. And this health and education spending are key component of our non-food expenditure. But at the same time, the country like India or across all the countries, we are what we call as a welfare state. Welfare welfare countries, where government spend lots of lot on your health and education, like you have free education services, like up to now with our uh, like we have this midday meals, free books and free this thing. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan introduced in 2004 that has linked to free educational services. So the household does not spend more of the consumption on the education from their pocket. Similarly on the health services. So what they do is they usually take the 40% of the meat consumption of health. So they take what we call is the 40% of your spending on education and so forth. This 40% where they get it, we have what we call is an educational survey. Educational survey where enumerators or the investigator visit the household. They ask the household how much is paid from your pocket for your education. That is what we call is the out of pocket expenditure on the education. That usually account for 40% on an average, 40% of our total educational spending. That is how we get this poverty line. So this method now provides you the yeah.
40% is from the non-food expenditure.
Yeah, non-food expenditure, only on the education part. Yeah, but health we have also separate group. So on the health also you see some percentage of your health expenditure is taken as the non-food expenditure. Because all the expenditures you take by the household, some of them are service. Some of the services received as free. So that is why only the out-of-pocket expenditure component is considered. So now you have poverty lines. Based on this, now you have a poverty line. You got it? So you reach at a poverty line. So that addresses your first problem of identification of poor. And this poverty line, what they call is based on basic need approach. So this poverty line is based on basic need approach, because the poverty line we reached mostly take into account your food and mostly driven by food, which is your basic need. That is why we call it as a basic need approach to your poverty line techniques. So once you have this poverty line, the next question is, what is the extent of poverty in the total income? Say you now there are 10 people are poor out of say this 1,000 households, 10 households are poor. Then you can add each one of them. Say this each household has 5 members. So there are 5,000. Yeah, 5,000 total population because 1,000 population, 1,000 household. Each household has a 5 members, so your total population becomes 5,000, and you see that 10 household members are 10 households are poor. So that 50 upon 5,000 is your. So your household is 1,000. Household size is 5. So your N is your total population, which is your 5,000. 10 households are found to be poor, that is they have the poverty line less than, say they have the income less than the poverty line, so these households are poor. So your total number of poor, which usually we denote by Q, is equal to 50. So your incident of poverty or the extent of poverty, which here we are counting them as head count, this is known as your head count ratio, denoted by X, is of 50 upon 5,000 into 100. That gives you the incidence of poverty. So in this incidence of poverty, what you did is you count whether this person poor, that person poor, that person poor, divide it by the total population. That is Q by N. Q is the number of poor divided by your total population. This is known as your head count ratio. So usually head count ratio we denote by P0 or H. So this P0 is Q upon N. Q upon N, and if you are representing it in the percentage term, so Q upon N into 100. That is your head count ratio. But what the problem here is, if you think a number system or number line, and you can attribute each individual to the number line based on their income. This is a number line, and in the number line you can attribute each number to one individual. How much income is there? And this is your poverty line. Usually we denote poverty line by Z. So this is your poverty line. So this is your number line, where this each number represents income, and for each income you can attribute one household or one individual. Okay. Usually we attribute it to the household because we do not have individuality. Now the problem with this, what you are saying is all these 50%. Let's say this individual 1, this is 2, so forth, and another individual is 50 is here. So this individual let's call as B, and this individual 1 let's call as A. So what we are doing is we are treating both individual A and B as equal, because we are considered whether you are poor or not. So if your, let's say your poverty line is 1000, so this Z is equal to 1000, and the person B is in triple line, then we are considering that person is poor. And you are here, let's say another person whose income is 90. We are considering that also person as poor. Let's see another individual C who is here, whose income is, let's say, 1000.002. His or the individual C's income is say 1000.002. Then you are considering that person as non-poor. But if you compare now between ABC, who are more similar in terms of their income, you see that BC are more similar in terms of their living conditions, but not A and B, because A is hard. This headcount ratio does not tell you to this. What we call this is the distance from your poverty line to the poor. This distance we call as the depth of poverty. How far the individual or the household is from the poverty line, that is not captured in your headcount list. Amen. So whether you are close to the poverty line or you are further from the poverty line, that is not reflected in our headcount list. So the depth of poverty is not captured. So therefore, this headcount ratio, though mostly used in most of the government documentation you see, the incidence of poverty we see, like we said, in India we have 27.8% as poor. That is mostly the headcount ratio. Most of the documentation we see, as government or any other organization, they are mostly given by this headcount ratio because it is very easy to compute and it is easy to comprehend also. Easy to understand also. However, we were measuring poverty. This poverty measure should satisfy one of the key principles, what is known as Dalton principle. Oh, but 1251. So let me just state what is Dalton principle is. We will discuss it next. What is Dalton principle suggests? If you are taking out some resources, in the example, let's say from B to K, you are taking out resources from B to A. So if you compare both B to A, then who is better? Who is richer? B is richer. So you are taking out resources from a richer person and giving it to a non-richer person who is of A. Let's say in this example you are taking 500 from B and giving it to A. Will the poverty estimate change? No, because they still remain on the left hand side of your chain. Isn't it so? So that does not change your poverty estimate. But the Dalton principle says if you are making such transfer, that is, you are taking resources from a richer person and giving it to a non-richer person, your poverty estimate should decline. That is whether it was the percentage of poverty should decline. But in this case, it is not happening. In fact, if you see here, you are taking let's say 0.05 rupees from C and give it to B. But now both B and C will fall left hand side of the J. So what will happen? After C was not low, now C becomes low. So your incidence of poverty increases. So what you see is it's exactly opposite to the Dalton principle. So we'll discuss it in the next class. So we'll stop here. Any questions? Those who are online? No?
No,
Then,
sir.
okay, thank you. So we'll stop. You can leave.